Come on in, welcome to my home. Today, in honor of Legends and Lattes, the book we read last week, click that card, we are going to do a few coffee drinks. Now, one of them is my coffee, which is the mocha Frappuccino, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but I've made this before, so we'll just go over that one quickly at the end. We are going to start off with something very important. We are going to make these coffee drinks using the things that I have here. There are some pieces of equipment that I have acquired through gifts and those sort of things. Those links are listed down below. And also you have to remember that the opinion that I'm giving of them are my own opinions and that sort of thing. But the big thing to remember is that these are approximations of things. They won't be the exact way to make a latte because I don't have an espresso machine or a milk frother or a milk steamer. Yeah. So these are what I'm going to use to make these things my own way. So before you start typing in there, you're doing it wrong. That's not how you make it. Oh, you're terrible. No, I know this. These are going to be approximations of it. So let's first start off with a latte. One of the things you have to remember when you start off with a latte is your coffee. Lattes are made with espresso and then frothed milk. Now that can be interesting. I don't have the espresso machine, so I used espresso coffee and then I put it through my coffee maker and I made an approximation of espresso, which worked out pretty well because I've been playing around with this. I used 4 heaping tablespoons of espresso powder and then 4 cups of water. You can vary that up however you like, but it's up to you. Next thing that we are going to do is we are going to run that through the coffee maker. You could do it through a French press. This is all up to you, what you have. My French press broke, so that's its own problem. So I had to do it through the coffee maker this way, and that's fine, it will work. But now we have to figure out how to froth the milk, how to get that nice puffy, milky kind of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up my milk to approximately 150 degrees and then use a hand frother. This I got from Amazon Vine, and it was a test piece of equipment, and I'll put it into a milk pitcher, a milk frother pitcher, and then froth it up. So we made our latte, 1 part espresso, 3 parts milk and foam. Let's taste it. That's not bad. And I'm not a big coffee drinker. Yeah, that's actually real good. I'm so surprised. I like this. Let's try another one. For our next latte, we're going to make a hazelnut latte. It stays basically the same except for adding hazelnut syrup to the milk before we froth it. Let's taste our faux hazelnut latte. Oh, that's even better. This could convert me to a coffee drinker. I'm like really impressed with you can taste the coffee, but it's still a latte. And like I said, this is a faux latte. I'm not trying to tell you that this is how lattes are made at all, in any way, shape, or form. I used the frother, which is a milk frother, all the links are down below, in a frothing pitcher. The one thing I did find is that pitcher, and I said this in my review of it, that pitcher is super, super small. I mean super small. It would be nice if it were twice the size, because then you wouldn't have the Chris spills coffee kind of thing. I think it worked out really well, and I'm impressed. But I mean, it's springtime, and not every day is cold, so you want to have something, that's going to be a little bit cooler, because let's face it, it can get hot now. Okay, so let's talk about my Frappuccino. I love this thing. This is my weekend specialty treat, and I make just about all the components myself, and it's largely based off of a normal Frappuccino, but let's talk about it. Okay, so one of the first things that you're going to need for your Frappuccino is going to be milk. It can be whatever kind of milk that you like. I like to use oat milk, and I make my own oat milk. Oat milk is so simple to make. How I make my oat milk is easy. I take 2 cups of steel cut oats, I put them into individual containers. Don't know why. Well, I do know why, because it's easier to process that way. There's 1 cup in each container. Both of those have been rinsed. That's important. Rinse your steel cut oats before you put them in the container. Pour water over top of it. Cover it and let it sit overnight. The next morning you're going to rinse those oats again, put them into a food processor after they've been drained, and then add 3.5 cups of water. You're going to process that for about a minute, 2 minutes, it just depends. Then you're going to strain that into a container and repeat that with the other cup of oats. And that way you have your oat milk. So far, so simple. Now with the oat milk made and it's been strained and I put mine into the refrigerator, now we need to think about our other parts of this. Now you can use mocha syrup. I make my own mocha syrup. I can tell you there's a video on it. Click that card, it'll show you how to make it, but the quick way of explanation of it. So to make this is really simple. I take the Starbucks caramel coffee, and then to that I add the black cocoa powder. Now all of these things are listed down below in the description, and then I also add maple syrup to that simply because the maple syrup helps sweeten it. To this you have a couple choices. I have gone back to using raw sugar, but you could also use stevia. I have found that the raw sugar does, it makes it taste a little less bitter as an aftertaste. And then of course I add my coffee. The coffee in this is what really brings out the taste, because coffee and chocolate taste really good together. I put this on my bread maker's jam setting, so that makes it even easier, and it does all the work for me. Like I said, if you want to see how I made that, the link's down below in the description, or you can hit that card, it'll take you to that. I make my mocha syrup, and then we're all ready. So the day that I'm going to make my Frappuccino, I fill my blender with ice cubes, then I add dehydrated peanut butter. In case you are wondering what dehydrated peanut butter really is, it is peanuts that have had the oil pressed out of it. Probably it's a byproduct from making peanut oil. Then they powder it or grind it really smooth. You put that into the blender. How much you put in is really up to you, but you can decide all that. And like I said, there is a link to the recipe. And then from there, I will add my oat milk, blend that. Then you can add whatever flavorings that you like. I'm combining caramel sauce with white chocolate sauce. You can make your own, you can buy it, it is up to you. There is nothing which has to be special about this. You can go out and buy most of the ingredients. I process that, then I add my mocha syrup, process that, then I just pour it into a glass. Now I have found that I can get 2 servings out of that one pitcher, and that's in really big glasses. So I can put the other serving into, I just use a jar, put a lid on it, put it into the refrigerator, so that the next morning all I have to do is shake it, and it is served cold. It is nice and frothy and wonderful, and I've found that this is another one of those coffee drinks that I actually really like. And I'm surprised because if you want to know something, I'm not a big coffee fan. Even though I've made quite a few things for coffee syrups, making coffee syrup itself, which I didn't even know was a thing, coffee creamers, but today I can say these coffees I really, really liked, and I'm surprised about the frother simply because I didn't think that would be something that would be as cool as it is, but it did froth the milk. I will be looking for a bigger frothing pitcher because I think that one is too small. But this is something I'm going to repeat, and I really like that, and I think it's one of those things that if you're reading Legends and Lattes, this is something that you could have with it, because it's one of those things where you can then like make your own kind of latte, and like I said, this is not a true latte. For those of you who are coming at me telling me how wrong this is, yeah, I know, it's an approximation of a latte. I did it with what I had at home without any special equipment. Would I like to have an espresso machine? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know if I would actually use it. But this way I can have my own little latte however I want. I can flavor however I want. I have nice little jars that I can then pump the syrups out of. I think this was a lot of fun, and I can set up my own coffee bar. And if you are wondering, well, in that book they had other treats and things that are mentioned in the book, well, guess what? Next books that we are going to be reading are going to be about bookshops, and one of the first books that we have are the Bookstore Sisters. Yeah, it's a really good book. Read it. It's linked down below in the description. And so we will have more of the treats and those sort of things for next time. But these are a few coffee drinks that you can make and enjoy, and hopefully have something to drink while you're reading. Let me know down in the comments how you'd like your coffee. What do you do with your coffee? Is there anything special you add to it? I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to take this time to thank these people who let me go on coffee escapades and figure out what kind of coffees that I like and don't like. It's sort of fun. If you want to join them in the discussions that we have on Patreon or become a channel member, go ahead and click the links, check out the channel members, check out Patreon, and you get these videos early. And as you've seen before, we have a weekly vlog where you see the behind the scenes of what goes into making a video like this. And I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope I get to see you again the next time you stop by.